In today's video, I'll be predicting every Premier League Week 3 game. The promoted sides keep on struggling away, but look stronger at home. Burnley proved that with a 2-0 win over Sunderland. Somehow, Newcastle were robbed at the 100th minute versus Liverpool. Lucky Liverpool. We've also got huge games like Liverpool versus Arsenal, a potential title decider, even though it's so early on. And my favourite game of this week, Leeds United at Ellen Road versus Newcastle United. If Newcastle play like they did versus Liverpool, then victory will be black and white. But stick around to see if I beat ChatGPT and the random scoreline generator in week 2 predictions, or maybe they beat me. And also find out who I picked for goal of the week from last week. But let's get predicting. Starting off in a London derby at Stamford Bridge on 12:30 PM on Saturday, it's Chelsea versus Fulham. No Cole Palmer coming into this after he's got a bit of a groin problem. But even without Cole Palmer, they proved against West Ham United that they can absolutely destroy sides. It is going to be a close game because the Cottagers, Fulham, they're not too bad, are they? They got a good draw versus Manchester United. But Chelsea side, the squad depth that they have, it's just still absolutely threatening without Cole Palmer. It's an immense squad depth. They're going to be a title challenging side. And Fulham, you're a mid-table side, but you are going to make it close. 2-1 to the Blues in this London derby.
Chelsea versus Fulham. Cole Palmer's absence due to a groin injury didn't stop João Pedro from stealing the spotlight with a goal and 2 assists in a 5-1 victory against West Ham. Fulham's been quiet in the transfer market, but Chelsea's depth could be their advantage. Prediction: Chelsea to win 2-1.
Old Trafford up next for the first of the 3 PM kickoffs. Manchester United versus Burnley. And Manchester United, you only drew 2-2 against Grimsby Town, and you're now knocked out of the EFL Cup. But that could be a good thing. You can focus on the Premier League much more. But you are slowly improving technically. You lost the first game, and then you drew the second. It's about time you're going to get a win. It's leading to a win. Loss, draw, what comes next? Win. Especially at home and facing Burnley, which are a newly promoted side. And yes, I know they did fantastic to win 2-0 against Sunderland, as Josh Cullen looked absolutely fantastic in that game, and Jadon Anthony also got a great goal. Even that said, I feel like away from home Burnley, that is where you're going to lose out this season, especially against a Man United side which has improved in quality. But it's going to be tight after Man United. You still have a few concerns and you still need to make signings. 1-0 just about to Manchester United.
Manchester United versus Burnley. United's facing a tough fixture list, but Burnley looked a bit sluggish early on against Tottenham. They did better against Sunderland, but considering it's an away match, United's quality at Old Trafford should see them triumph. A 3-0 victory for Manchester United seems likely.
Over to the Stadium of Light, it's Sunderland versus Brentford. And Sunderland, how did you lose 2-0 to Burnley? That's one of the most shocking results, alongside the Man City Spud scoreline. 2-0, I expected more from you. To be fair, Ballard in the centre-back position getting injured right at the start of the game definitely did not help your cause against Burnley. But Brentford last game won 1-0 against Aston Villa, and they're going to be buzzing. They have a new signing, Dango Ouattara, making his debut and straight away scoring. And with Thiago Sharda and Dango Ouattara, with those 3 people in the attack, I think they can score 2 goals at the Stadium of Light. But because it's at the Stadium of Light, because Sunderland have done well in their transfers, and the fact that they still won 3-0 against West Ham, I still feel like I'm pretty confident that they are going to be able to at least get a draw against a slowly weakening Brentford side in terms of their transfer window. So I'm going 2-2 between Sunderland and Brentford. And I definitely feel like Brentford are going to be able to score a couple of goals, as without Ballard in that defence, it's going to be pretty tough.
Sunderland versus Brentford. Sunderland's got a strong start and the fans are fully behind them. The charged home atmosphere gives Sunderland a good chance. Brentford's recent form has been shaky, but they can still put up a fight and snatch a point. Prediction: Sunderland 1, Brentford 1.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's Spuds versus the Cherries. Tottenham Hotspur, what a team, what a manager in Thomas Frank. Really, Thomas the Frank engine is cooking something special. This setup of the entire team is set up different to the way Ange Postecoglou is doing. The defence is much more tighter, and overall, the defence played really well. The midfield played really well, and the attack played really well. What I'm trying to say is everything about their game played fantastic. The midfield trio with the new signing of Palhina and Sarr and Bentancur, they bossed that midfield. And now with the likes of Kudus, they are cooking. Yes, they lost out on Eberechi Eze, but with Thomas Frank at the helm, with the players Tottenham already have, with the likes of Romero being able to push up and press really high, and Van de Ven to track back at immense pace and make some great slide tackles, the defence is cooking. They've gone back-to-back clean sheets, but I'm not going to go for them to get a clean sheet. I'm going to go for them to win because they're at home and because they are beating Manchester City and Burnley and they're doing amazing. I will definitely go with them. But Bournemouth will nick a goal. After the likes of Semenyo in the attack will definitely be able to get a goal and definitely give it a good effort. But Tottenham just look on another level. 3-1 to the sack of potatoes, Spuds.
Tottenham Hotspur versus AFC Bournemouth. Even without Maddison, Spurs' attacking intensity and pace have been too much for most teams to handle at home. Bournemouth will have a tough time, but they're also a threat under Iraola, particularly in transitions. Prediction: Spurs to claim a 2-1 victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
To the Molineux Stadium, it's Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Everton. And this one's going to be an interesting one because originally I was thinking of actually going for a draw because Wolves are at home at the Molineux. They haven't exactly gotten any points yet, and if they were to get some points, it would probably be a point against Everton, which is a mid-table side. But they lost 1-0 to Bournemouth, didn't score. They lost 4-0 to Manchester City, didn't score. And Everton, I would definitely think of a 0-0 draw. I was tempted, but Jack Grealish, even away from home, they are going to cook. Jack Grealish got 2 assists. He looked like himself. Even Barry made some great runs, some great passing and movements in the attacking area. James Garner with a great strike, and Ndiaye scored the last goal at Goodison Park and the first goal at the new stadium, the Hill Dickinson Stadium. So I feel like their attack is enough against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and I'm confident they're going to win. So I've actually changed this after the Everton score against Brighton because I was incredibly impressed that they managed to win that. 2-0 against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Sorry Wolves, maybe I'm being harsh, maybe I still should go for a draw. But I just feel like the way Everton played, they're going to be cooking with Jack Grealish.
Wolves versus Everton. Everton, still shaken from their opening defeat by Leeds, managed to bounce back with a 2-0 win over Brighton, with Jack Grealish contributing 2 assists. Despite this, concerns linger from that Leeds game. Meanwhile, Wolves remain winless under Vitor Pereira, making a draw seem likely. Prediction: Wolves 1, Everton 1.
Over to the biggest game for me personally. It's at Ellen Road on Saturday, 5:30 p.m. It's Leeds United versus Newcastle United. My first favourite team in Newcastle United and my second favourite team in Leeds United. Newcastle United, my gosh, Leeds are going to struggle even at Ellen Road. I don't care that we were robbed. Actually, I do care that we were robbed. But still, I don't care in the sense of we played fantastic against Liverpool. I'm saying we, I'm not part of the Newcastle team. Newcastle United played absolutely fantastic. Newcastle would just, they wouldn't allow Liverpool to get any passes in their half. let alone in the attacking half for them. But randomly at one point, Liverpool slowed down the game, removed Newcastle's urgency after slowing down the game, and they found a little place outside the box where they could just smash it home from Gravenberch. And then that took the sting out of Newcastle. Then Newcastle, for the rest of that half, kind of nothing from both teams was happening, other than the red card from Gordon. But then in the second half, even with 10 men, if you remove the first part of the second half, we were fantastic with 10 men. Doesn't that prove you something? The fact that even with 10 men, we were pressing high, we were making Liverpool make missed passes after missed passes. We made Mohamed Salah have a pretty decently quiet game, despite him getting an assist. We are cooking, and guess what? Even with the injuries of Fabian Schär, the loss of Alexander Isak, no Sandro Tonali or Joe Linton going into the next game, the likes of Jacob Ramsey and Lewis Miley in the midfield, and Manek Tau or Sven Botman if we want to replace Fabian Schär. We've got the squad depth to fill in the players, and we proved that we did, because when they did get injured against Liverpool, we still performed well. Newcastle United did. And that gives me loads of confidence, because Leeds United, I'm sorry, but you are obviously a worse team than Liverpool. So that gives me a lot of confidence that Newcastle, we played well against Aston Villa, we played well against Liverpool, and guess what? William Mashula, which is our only current striker that's available, scored a goal. That's going to give him confidence, and maybe without Gordon, we start William Mashula. But I feel like Newcastle will be slightly more dominant than Leeds United, and we will score one goal and win at 1-0. I feel like a defence and goalkeeper is enough to get a clean sheet against Leeds United, especially without Tanaka and Ethan Ampadu not being in the midfield for Leeds United. It's definitely going to give Newcastle the best chance of winning. It's going to be very, very close, especially under the roaring crowd of Elland Road.
Leeds United's clash with Newcastle at Elland Road promises to be a nail-biter. Leeds showed their resilience against Everton, but after getting hammered by Arsenal, they'll face an uphill battle. Newcastle, with their vibrant play, are eager to rebound from a gut-wrenching loss to Liverpool. My money's on Newcastle edging it 2-1.
Love to see it, ChatGPT. At least this time we agree that Newcastle United are going to win. Even the random scoreline generator is going for Newcastle to win. We all are. Over to the Amex Stadium, it's Brighton and Hove Albion versus Manchester City. And Manchester City, that was a concerning performance versus Tottenham Hotspur. You carry on what is a sort of bad recent record at the Etihad versus Tottenham. 2-0 loss. There are obviously positives in that game at the Etihad against Tottenham. You did make chances, but it took you a while till you could get a shot on target. And it was pretty tough. That midfield of Tottenham was definitely quite high class. It could have been a much closer game if he didn't make the mistake of James Trafford passing it straight out. And I also feel like maybe James Trafford could have done better to save that shot from the first goal. Now, I could be harsh there, but I do feel like maybe he could have done better. Manchester City will still be able to win this game, despite the loss in the last one. I'm going 2-1 to Manchester City, but I am tempted to go for a draw. But Brighton, back-to-back games where I thought you should have scored way more. Maybe you're missing the clinical edge of João Pedro, because your XG should have shown more goals in the Everton game and the Fulham game. You've got the likes of Danny Welbeck, which can get loads of goals. Jorginho Rutter, which can get loads of goals. You've got Mitoma, which can get goals and assists. Yankuba Minta, which can get goals and assists. You've still got players without João Pedro, which should be getting the goals. So I don't know what's going on there. Despite a loss and a draw, there is still promise and good signs that I've seen from your games. So you will make it a close game, and eventually you will be getting back a winning form. And you will get used to not having João Pedro, and you will be getting goals.
Brighton, while organised, struggled to find the net and face a clinical Manchester City. City's precise finishing and possession game, combined with Haaland's prowess, forecast a 2-0 win for City, especially against Brighton's uncertain attack.
Over to the City ground, it's Nottingham Forest versus West Ham United. And West Ham, you are losing this game 2-0 to Nottingham Forest. I'm sorry West Ham, but something needs to change. 3-0 loss against newly promoted Sunderland, 5-1 loss versus Chelsea. Graham Potter's record is one of the worst for West Ham over the last decade or something like that. It's not looking good. But I feel like Graham Potter can be a good manager. We've seen it under Brighton and of Albion. And I'm surprised your defence is as bad as it was against Chelsea and Sunderland, conceding all that goals. Because under Graham Potter last season, the defence started to improve. But I don't see it improving against Nottingham Forest. The likes of Chris Wood, which he can definitely get in a tap-in or two, and can definitely score with his head or from a penalty. So I feel like it's going to be a struggle, especially with Morgan Gibbs-White. He is going to be a great playmaker in this game. I do feel like Jarrod Bowen will create some big chances, but Nottingham Forest, with the defence they have under Nuno Espirito Santos' plan, it just feels unstoppable and inevitable that Nottingham Forest will not just win but get a clean sheet. I know Nuno does have a bit of relationship problems with the owner, so I don't know whether he's going to be there for this game. But either way, they've got a better squad than West Ham at the moment. And I'm going to assume he's going to be there for this game. And I don't think it will affect the performance with the relationship issues with Nuno and the owner. So 2-0, pretty decent, comfortable win for Nottingham Forest, especially at the City ground.
Forest might be strong at home, but central gaps could be their downfall, as West Ham's players like Bowen and Paqueta could capitalise, leading to a surprising 2-1 victory for West Ham at City ground.
Hold up, ChatGPT. None of what you just said there made any sense. West Ham to win at the City ground. 2-1. Not just ChatGPT, but the random scoreline generator also said 2-1. I don't know what's going through ChatGPT's head there, but there is no way West Ham wins that. If that does plan out to be the actual score, football is random. Over to what people would say the actual biggest game of the week is. It's at Anfield. It's Liverpool versus the Gunners. The title challenging game. Literally, whoever wins this wins the title. I mean, maybe not, but it definitely gives us a good idea. But really, out of both sides, I'm most concerned with Liverpool. Their defence is very leaky. A 2-2 draw and lost out on penalties in the Community Shield versus Crystal Palace. Leaky defence. Then a 4-2 win versus Bournemouth. Leaky defence, conceded 2 goals. Then a 3-2 win versus Newcastle United. Leaky defence, plus didn't deserve to win. 100th minute goal. My gosh, I predicted that 2-2 between Newcastle and Liverpool. And when I watched all of that game, because I did, I was running around really excited. I was going to get a correct prediction, plus Newcastle played better than I've ever seen them, even with 10 men. William Ashula got himself a goal as the only striker at Newcastle. We still played well with the injuries we had in that game, but we go on and we get robbed right at the last minute. So the way I'm seeing it, Newcastle playing that well, and Liverpool's defence looking very leaky. I know Van Dijk looked good, and Szoboszlai against Harvey Barnes at times did look really good. But the likes of Kanate, I don't know, it was a bit of a and overall, they deserved to lose that game. And with all those concerns, especially with Arsenal, making the signings they had, I'm going 3-2 Arsenal. Victor Gyökeres, what a goal against Leeds United. How he dribbled past those defenders at Leeds United to cut into the penalty box. Great ball control, and that finish, I mean, he just looks like a world-class striker. He's definitely going to get a golden boot in my eyes. He's now got a massive confidence booster. I know Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard are injured, but like I said, they've got Eberechi Eze, and I don't know whether he's going to start or even be on the bench, but I feel like he probably is. And if he's not, I still feel like they're going to win because they've got a good striker. And they've got a replacement for Saka in Madueke. And they've still got the rest of the side, which is really good. And the way Liverpool's defence is, if Newcastle can score 2 goals past them without a proper experienced striker, I think Arsenal have got this one in the bag. 3-2, but it's going to be high scoring.
Liverpool versus Arsenal at Anfield's going to be electric. Liverpool, sharp in attack with tthe, clinched a win in the 100th minute against Newcastle. Arsenal, with new signings, show promise. But the tie is too even for a one-sided result. Thinking a Desmond 2-2 between two title-challenging sides.
Over to Villa Park, Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. They've played 2 games in the Conference League and they've won 1-0 on aggregate to get to the next part of the Conference League. And that is good, but they're probably going to be quite tired going into the next game. And away from home versus Aston Villa is going to be tough. With the tiredness, with the loss of Eberechi Eze, I feel like Aston Villa's got a chance. They're going to be ready for this game. Especially at Villa Park, I've got confidence that Aston Villa are going to win this, with all that said and done. 2-1 to Aston Villa. But remember this, Aston Villa lost to Brentford and didn't really play that well against Newcastle. But to be fair, they had chances against Brentford and they probably should have scored at some point. But it's a different game, it's at Villa Park, Crystal Palace are tired, no Eze, and I feel like there's still a great side in there and there's no way they can go a third game without a win.
Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace at Villa Park should see Villa responding strongly after mixed results. Palace, perhaps fatigue from European play, and without Eberechi Eze, might struggle in attack. Villa's organisation and firepower could see them win comfortably. Aston Villa 2, Crystal Palace 0.
But over to goal of the week. I've been talking quite bad about West Ham, but Paqueta does get goal of the week. I was tempted with James Garner's goal, but Paqueta, I just prefer that goal because there was no deflection off the goalkeeper. It went top right, almost top right, and it was a great strike and possibly the only positive you can take out of that Chelsea game. But over to the scores between me, ChatGPT, and the random scoreline generator. My gosh, you can tell by the thumbnail, ChatGPT has got its wish. It's got full bragging rights and it got what it wanted because ChatGPT beat me and got itself a spot in the thumbnail. Cannot believe ChatGPT got 7 points, I got 5 points. Even the random football number generator, whatever you want to call it, also got the same amount of points as me. But overall, those are the total scores on the doors. Me and ChatGPT are drawing at 12 points. And then quite far behind is the random football scoreline generator with 7 points, which is understandable. I think I probably will quit predicting the Premier League if ChatGPT or the random football scoreline generator wins, because that means football is just random and there's too many variables to predict. But anyway, ChatGPT, you got lucky. You're going to get absolutely battered if you're predicting West Ham to beat Nottingham Forest. You've gone insane. So I'm winning next week. It's practically guaranteed. Touch wood. But have a fantastic day and toodle pip.